So the question is, how do I get a six-pack? I want to give a really smart-ass answer, but I'm not going to. Welcome to the show where we help you make smart nutrition simple. If you want proven nutrition strategies to help you build a better body and create the energy to show up for your family without overly restrictive and unrealistic dieting, then you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe and enjoy this episode. What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to another episode of the Smart Nutrition Made Simple show. I am your host, as always, Ben Brown, head coach and owner here at Body Systems. We're an online nutrition and fitness coaching company who helps you change the belief system around what it means to be healthy. And we do that through our nutrition, our strength, and our online lifestyle coaching programs, processes, and strategies. And in today's Q&A episode, I'm answering some of our clients' most commonly asked questions. So today we're going to set the record straight on whether exercise actually burns as many calories as we think it does. Hint, it is not even close. We're going to talk about how you can realistically achieve a six-pack. And we're going to settle the age-old debate of what's better, food quality or food quantity. Now, you guys know my goal with this podcast is to provide the most straightforward, the most practical, and strategically simple fitness, nutrition, lifestyle, and fat loss resources possible so that you can achieve your best with less. So go ahead and hit subscribe and let's dive right in. So the question is, does exercise actually burn as many calories as we think it does? Does exercise actually burn that many calories? And the answer is no. It actually doesn't. And we have all of these theoretical equations that say, hey, if I was to go out and start running 30 minutes a day at my weight, at this pace, well, on paper, I would burn X amount of calories. But this is where the metabolism comes into play, and the body and the brain being much smarter than we think it is, to the degree that we get two things that happen. One is metabolic adaptation, and the other thing is what we call metabolic compensation. And for all intents and purposes, we'll call those one and the same. But essentially what happens is our body pushes back when we exercise, especially for a prolonged period of time, and not just in that moment, but over weeks and months of our body becomes more efficient at minimizing the amount of calories that we expend for the same amount of exercise. And so this is why, like if we think about it, like think about people who go and run marathons. The vast majority of people that you're going to see running a marathon are not in great shape. Like frankly, they're not like super lean, they're not ripped, they're not like, you're going to see a lot of overweight people, a lot of skinny fat people. And especially when you take into consideration the amount that the average person trains for this type of race, well, it would be reasonable to deduce that that person should have lost a considerable amount of weight by virtue of the amount of exercise that they've accumulated getting ready for that event. But that's not what we see at all. In fact, oftentimes we don't see much of a change in body composition beyond a certain point, especially for those people that are kind of in that kind of mid-range, like they're overweight, but they're not super overweight. We don't see a whole heck of a lot of change. And this is where kind of the metabolic compensatory patterns come in of our body pushing back by basically downregulating our fat burning ability and upregulating our hunger and appetite. And so what we see with exercise and trying to use exercise as a weight loss tool, it's very, very inefficient. And that's because when we go out and we do hard training, we're a lot more likely to be more sedentary for the rest of the day. So if we went and burned 500 calories, whereas, that's something novel for us, well, our body's going to kind of say, oh, you just did something significant. We're going to make you a little more lazy, a little more lethargic for the rest of the day. You're going to be a lot less likely to get up, to fidget, to walk around, and we'll save those calories in other areas. over the long term, it can even slow down your digestion. It can slow down your thinking. It even can slow down your speech. And what we see is, especially for a good example, is like when I've had conversations with people who are doing like physique shoots and are at the far end of the dieting spectrum, they're even talking slower. They're thinking slower. They're extremely lethargic. It's because their body's compensating and trying to preserve as many calories as possible. And then the adaptation aspects are downregulation in hormone production, again, upregulation in terms of hunger. So we're going to be a lot more likely to be more hungry. We're going to be a lot more likely to justify overeating. So if I go out and I do a lot of exercise, I burn a ton of calories, it's not unreasonable for me to think, well, I earned eating more at this meal or having an extra dessert or more of this, that, and the other. And that's what people do, whether they realize it or not, to the degree that it's very, very easy to eat well above and beyond the calories that you just expended, which weren't as nearly as many as we thought they were. So the question is, how do I get a six-pack? My answer is, this is going to, I want to give a really smart-ass answer, but I'm not going to. The answer is that you probably won't get a six-pack. The answer is that depending on where you are, depending on your existing behaviors, depending on how old you are, your genetics, your training history, your current nutritional behaviors, it's pretty uncommon for someone to have a six-pack, to get a six-pack, based on all of those things. And I would say that genetics definitely is one of the bigger components of whether or not someone can even get a six-pack. Now, let's assume that you can. Well, then it begs, okay, how am I managing my calories and creating a significant enough deficit to lose enough body fat to be able to show my abdominal musculature? That's what a six-pack is I've lost enough body fat around my midsection to be able to display the muscles that are inherently there. And it's much more a product of losing body fat than it is of gaining muscle and doing crunches and, all of that stuff that people think that they need to do. I guarantee it's not about doing more crunches. It's about putting the fork down and eating less than you've been eating if you're not losing body fat. So number one is to get clarity around how much you're currently consuming. Number two, if you're not losing weight and body fat with how much you're currently consuming, then you need to reduce your calorie intake. And I would suggest reducing it by probably 20 to 30% and pay attention to how quickly you're losing body fat. Now, the other factor is understanding, especially for guys, we tend to store the most body fat around our midsection. And so it's usually the first to accumulate, and it's going to be the last to go. And that means that if we've been losing weight, but you're still frustrated that you don't have a six-pack, it means you still have body fat to lose. And so it means continuing to play the dieting game of making sure I'm staying in a calorie deficit, I'm being consistent, I'm being cognizant of the rate of change, and I'm doing my diligence to, like we discussed previously, sort of the levels of metabolic adaptation and compensation at play, of understanding it might take me a heck of a lot longer than I think it's going to take. And what we've done with many clients is we've helped them lose body fat, a considerable amount of body fat, but based on the amount of time that they're dieting and the time of the year and their lifestyle and responsibilities, it makes sense to spend some time at maintenance to keep them sane, to help them, live to the degree that they want, enjoy the things that they want, and kind of bounce back and forth between dieting phases and maintenance phases throughout the course of a year and beyond. So again, how do I get a six-pack? It's going to come a lot more from nutrition than it is from training. Training's still important. We want to support lean muscle tissue. We want to be strong. We want to have that muscle definition for when we do lose the body fat. But it becomes a heck of a lot more about your consistency in the kitchen, your ability to plan and prepare, your ability to play the long game, to say nothing of genetically, are you someone that even has the ability to display a six-pack when you do get lean enough? Hey guys, I want to interrupt this conversation briefly with an exciting announcement. If you're a father and struggling to lose the pounds that have crept on over the years, I understand your challenge. You're juggling a successful career, a loving family, and now you're looking to regain that energy and physique that seems to have slipped away. And that's exactly why I created Prime Fit Operating System. Prime Fit OS is a unique hybrid coaching program designed specifically for men like you. Now, you guys know me, we're not about quick fixes or impossible routines. Instead, we focus on real sustainable change through personalized nutrition and science-driven strength training, all wrapped up in a supportive community with expert guidance directly from me and my 20 years of experience working with men just like you. Imagine mastering your nutrition without restrictive dieting, getting stronger and leaner, and boosting your overall energy, all without overwhelming your already busy schedule. With Prime Fit OS, you're getting more than just a cookie-cutter nutrition and fitness plan. You're embarking on a transformative journey that fits into your life, not the other way around. So, if you're ready to take the first step towards a healthier, leaner, stronger, more energetic, confident, ass-kicking you, join us over at Prime Fit Operating System. Trust me, guys, your family, your career, and most importantly, you will thank you for it. So if you guys are interested in getting started and want to find out more about the program, let's chat. Just head over to primefitos.com/call and grab a time on my calendar. Remember, it's your time to be at your prime. So the question is, what's more important, food quality or food quantity? And the answer to that depends on the goals at play. Because I would say from a health standpoint, and again, it depends on the way that we're thinking about things, but from a health standpoint, food quality, in my opinion, matters more. However, it doesn't mean we can eat as much as we want of said quality foods, because calories absolutely still matter. And you can still get fat, by the way, eating quote unquote healthy foods. And we see this quite often with fad-based dieting, people doing keto, people doing carnivore, people doing whatever, like plant-based. It's easy to get fat eating plant-based, and I'm definitely not saying that that's healthier, by the way. The way that people do it. But that's the conversation for another day. So at the end of the day, they both matter. And it's really nuanced as to what specifically we're talking about. Are we talking about health? Are we talking about longevity? Are we talking about body composition? The way we look at it is really kind of a hierarchical approach to say, listen, at the end of the day, calories reign supreme. And we need to control for calories if we're going to lose body fat, if we're going to gain muscle mass, just to support existing body composition. Like, calories matter most. And again, you can get fat eating healthy foods. You can get fat eating unhealthy foods. So first and foremost, we help our clients understand how the calories are adding up and how they can make appropriate choices to control for calories. Now, once we're armed with those skills, then we can look at, then we can kind of look at food quality and saying, how are the foods that I'm consuming contributing to my calorie intake? How are they contributing to my satiety? How are they contributing to my enjoyment? Because then I'm in a much better position to start to build out my meals based on the foods that I enjoy, the foods that I know are better for me, while still honoring my total calorie intake. And that's typically the way that we approach working with our clients, helping them understand their calorie intake, as well as, again, this kind of nutritional hierarchy of needs of basically we look at calorie intake, then we basically look at protein intake, then we look at, food quality and macronutrient intake of how are all of our macronutrients adding up. Then we can look at meal timing. Then we can look at supplementation. So that's really the way that I think makes the most sense. Well, there you have it. That's it for this episode of the Smart Nutrition Made Simple show. If you have questions that you'd like us to tackle in an upcoming episode, then we can't wait to hear from you. So you can submit your questions directly by just messaging us on our social media. That's at Body Systems Coaching. Or you can just message me personally, ben@bodysystems.com. Appreciate you guys listening, and I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening, and if you found this content valuable, here are 4 ways I can help you in your nutrition journey for free. 1. Grab a free copy of my Fat Loss Fix Guide at fatlossfixguide.com. 2. Join my free group at smartnutritionmadesimple.com. 3. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at smartnutritionmadesimpletv.com. 4. Leave a 5-star rating and positive review so that we can gain access to more nutrition experts ready to share their knowledge with you and ultimately help more people make smart nutrition simple.